Hey guys, this is Tirelis here with another Warlords of Draenor beta video. Going to be taking a look at the first of the Warlock specs in Affliction Warlocks. We're going to be taking a look at their major changes, their new changed and removed abilities, their new and changed glyphs, their new Draenor perks, and then finally their new and changed talents. I apologize, I am not as well versed in Warlocks, kind of like rogues. I do, however, have a max level Warlock, level 90. And I was able to go back and forth between the two and make sure we have everything correct. So I do believe I have everything for you in line and ready. There weren't too many changes to Affliction Warlocks. They got their major changes in Mists of Pandaria. So Warlords of Draenor was considered more of a cleanup, polish type of deal. There are three major changes to look at though. The first is to Warlocks as a whole, and that is Blizzard felt there was too much raid utility. Warlocks simply just brought more to the table than anyone else. So they targeted this in two different ways, in demonic gateways and in healthstones. Demonic gateways can no longer be used every 45 seconds. That has been upped to 90 seconds, so every 90 seconds you can use demonic gateway. Furthermore, you can only place it 40 yards away as opposed to 70 yards away, so they really knocked on demonic gateways a lot for your raid utility. Healthstones can no longer crit, and their cooldown won't reset until the player leaves combat. So there's another big knock against the raid utility of Warlocks. They just needed to bring them back down to where all the other classes are. A major change for the Affliction is that Drain Soul will no longer be generating 4 soul shards. Blizzard felt that it was too powerful when there were small creatures to kill. You can turn around, kill a small creature, you know, in a raid or whatnot, get your 4 soul shards again, and then start doing massive DPS again with your 4 soul shards. That's not going to be the case anymore. It now only generates 1 soul shards, and it just won't be as powerful anymore. The second major change is that the third major change is that Fell Flame has basically been removed. Blizzard felt that, well, Blizzard as a whole wanted to reduce the amount of mobilities that casters had in the game, so Fell Flame was removed, a host of other abilities for other classes was removed. I wouldn't worry about it too much because they're designing raids around the fact that casters cannot move. So if you're worried about, you know, high mobility fights, you're not going to see those anymore. It will be a problem in PvP, and they're going to balance the mobility of melee around the fact that casters no longer have that mobility. There is one new ability for Affliction Warlocks, and that is Blood Pact, the return of Blood Pact. And it is a pact that increases the stamina of all nearby party and raid members by 10%. That sounds kind of familiar. That used to be a part of Dark Intent. It also increases your own stamina by an additional 10% and increases all healing you receive by 10%. And if that sounds familiar, that's because that comes from Fel Armor. So Blood Pact is kind of the overall passive for that, and just baked into your passive abilities. It's your raid buff. There are several changed abilities in the Affliction toolset. Soul Swap now costs 1 soul shard, as opposed to 0. So you're gonna have to use that now. Soul Burn got gutted. It no longer affects Health Funnel, Curses, Drain Life, or Unending Breath. It got gutted in that portion. It still affects Demonic Circle, Teleport, Seed of Corruption, Soul Swap, and Summon Demon, but the other 4 have been removed from the game. Dark Intent now grants 5% multi-strike instead of 10% stamina, so that's kind of a nice, you know, buff to bring to the table. Fell Hunters and Observers, just so you know, their spell lock ability, and the Void Walkers kind of apply to this too, no longer silences the target, it's just an interrupt. Void Walkers lost their disarmed. Blizzard's been cutting down on interrupts and blanket silences across the board, so don't feel like you're left out from the others. It's just, it's happening to everyone. Seer Magic's cooldown has been increased to 30 seconds, up from 20 seconds. Seduction and Mesmerize from both Succubus and Shavara that ability now has a 30-second cooldown, so that's something to take note of. And then lastly, Terror Guard. The Terror Guard no longer casts Terrifying Roar when it dies. It's the last major change. There are just as many removed abilities as there were changed abilities for Affliction Warlock. The first of these is Malefic Grasp. It has been removed from the game. And everything that dealt with Malefic Grasp has been baked into Drain Soul. Originally Drain Soul was removed, and Warlocks complained. They liked Drain Soul better because it was more iconic, so that's what they did. They kind of fused the visuals together. You kind of see the blue and the purple. I'm not quite sure if it'll change when it gets down to 20%, but for the most part right now it's kind of a fused look between the two abilities. As mentioned before, Soulburn, Health Funnel, Curse, Drain Life, and Unending Breath have been removed from the game. Also, several curses have been removed from the game. Curse of Elements has been removed, Curse of Enfeeblement has been removed, and Curse of Exhaustion has been removed. All three of those have been removed from the game. Fel Armor, as mentioned before, has been removed from the game. Pandemic has been removed from the game. And then lastly, Twilight Ward has been removed from the game. A lot of changes really kind of hurt PvP, and the changed abilities and removed abilities, they really do hurt Warlocks in terms of PvP. There are several new glyphs for a Warlock. The first of these, let's go ahead and pull up the glyphs here. The first of these is Glyph of Dark Soul, which reduces the duration and cooldown of Dark Soul by 50%. There is Glyph of Life Pact. If I can find this, here it is. Mana costs on all your spells are reduced by 30%, but Life Tap can no longer be cast, and your health will drop by 1% per second. Your health cannot drop below 75% from this effect. I believe this is something that PvEers are going to take without question, being that you don't have to cast Life Tap anymore. Not quite sure though. Considering that health pools are not as burst and spiky as they are before, I think this is a no-brainer unless there are other better talents to take for Affliction in PvE. Otherwise, this one will probably most likely be taken. Notice also that it says exclusive with Glyph of Life Tap, so you can only have one or the other. You cannot have both active at the same time. Honestly though, why would you want Life Pact and Life Tap at the same time if one gets rid of Life Tap? So just understand that's how exclusivity works with glyphs now. There is Glyph of Soul Swap, which you can hold inhaled periodic effects from Soul Swap for 27 more seconds. So significant increase there. And then last, there is Glyph of Strengthen Resolve. It is Unending Resolve, reduces the damage taken by an additional 20%, but its cooldown is increased by 60 seconds, and it's exclusive with Glyph of Unending Resolve and Glyph of Eternal Resolve. There's a change in Glyph of Drain Life. I normally do not go in these videos and talk about percentage changes, but this one was very major, and it increases the healing of your Drain Life by 100% as opposed to what it was before. I think it was maybe it was something trivial like 15 or 20%. This was done. Blizzard really wanted to bring some power and some oomph back to Drain Life. So that's a change that you should look out for, a glyph you should probably consider now, especially in PvP. That leaves us with the Draenor Perks of Affliction. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at them. We'll go from the back up. First is Improved Drain Soul, as your Drain Soul deals 100% additional damage on targets below 20% health, so it's your execute phase. Enhanced Haunt, your haunt lasts for an additional 2 seconds. There's Enhanced Drain Life. Health gain from your Drain Life grows by 10% each time it heals you. So I have a feeling I'm going to see a lot of PvP Warlocks using Drain Life. Again, much like the old days that I remember Drain Life being spammed all over the place. Especially with that glyph. And then there is Empowered Corruption, which Corruption has a 2.5 increased chance to generate a Soul Shard. That finally leaves us with the talent tree. There are several little changes all the way up the talent tree. Notice that Soul Leech no longer affects any of the abilities that no longer belong in the game, so don't worry about that. You can see Howl of Terror here. It has been removed from baseline. It is now a talent that you can grab. There is Mortal Coil here. You should know that Mortal Coil now shares diminishing returns with all other Mesmerize effects. A lot of the changes you're going to see in the talent trees are diminishing return bubbles that have gone across the board to all classes. It kind of affected Warlocks a lot, though. Demonic Breath has been removed, by the way, just completely from the game. Howl of Terror takes its place. It's not been placed anywhere else. Unbound Will is another change. Its cooldown has been up to 2 minutes as opposed to 1 minute. Blood Horror, its cooldown has been increased to 60 seconds, up from 30 seconds, and it now shares diminishing returns with all other Mesmerize effects. So that's another thing you need to look out for. The last major change for Warlocks in their talent tree is Kill Jaden's Cunning. As I mentioned in the very beginning with Fell Flame, they're trying to reduce caster mobility, and so Kill Jaden's Cunning now functions like Spirit Walker's Grace for Shamans. It's just you have a certain amount of time in which you can cast spells, minute cooldown. Basically, Shamans have to talent it to make it like this, where it's 8 seconds and it's only a minute cooldown. I think this is the better way, considering how mobility will be very hindering in PvP. I see a lot of PvP are still taking this just because this will be a lifesaver at some points. Lastly, that leaves us with our final tier of talents in level 100 talents. On the right side you have Demonic Servitude, which is you are now able to maintain control over your greater demons. So if I can go ahead and bring it up here, I can go ahead and summon an Infernal, and it becomes my permanent pet. It stays with me and does whatever I want it to do. You cannot summon both a Doomguard and an Infernal. It doesn't work like that, sorry. But you can have any one of those pets open at any time. Know that both of these pets now have a special ability to go with them because they're permanent pets. So Doomguards have a spell lock ability similar to Fell Hunters, and the Infernals have a ability known as Torch Magic, which is like a I believe a dispel or a purge. It consumes the magic effect, gets rid of it, etc. I can pull it up right here. I can't quite remember exactly. Purge is one beneficial magic effect, so it's a purge. Or one harmful effect away from an ally. So they had to add those in to bring them up to par with the other abilities because they are now, active pets. The next ability we're going to go over here and take a look is Soulburn Haunt. Grants the Soulburn empowerment for your Haunt spell. Your Haunt spell now increases damage of your damage over time effects to all targets by 20% for 30 seconds. So this kind of replaces, if I am correct, Soulburn Curses to some degree. Or the functionality that spell served. Let's go ahead and use it. Just so you can see, how it is and so forth. It's not currently being taken right now, but we'll see how popular it is and so forth later on. The last of these talents is Cataclysm, which is a really cool spell visual, and it just conjures a Cataclysm at the target location, dealing 4,500 Shadow Flame damage to all enemies within 8 yards and applying Agony. So this is pretty cool. I really like this ability. So we'll go ahead and use it. It's a targeted ability. Cast time, a lot of damage, Agony on everyone. Currently, at the moment, I do believe Warlocks are taking Cataclysm in PvE. It is the best for them at the moment. I don't know whether that will be the case later on, but for right now, that is the case. Really like it. Overall, Affliction Warlocks really got nerfed in their PvP area. A lot of diminishing return, bubbles they've been added into. I mean, to be honest, they really just got kind of nerfed across the board. Their damage should still be on equal and par with the others, but their utility ability in both PvE and PvP has been brought down. And that's even excluding all of the stuff that affected all the classes, like movement reduction, etc. So that's Affliction Warlocks. I will be looking at the other Warlock specs very soon. I will see you guys later. Tirelis out.